Hi there. I'm curious. I'm a filmmaker, and I've worked in Los Angeles and done the film thing. I'm curious to know your background a little bit and how you became acquainted with Robert Redford for this movie from your world in India and how you became a filmmaker. If you could give us a little bit of your background and how you met Robert or Bob and made this movie.
Well, sure, yeah, I don't really like talking about myself, but I'll do it in 2 sentences. Well, I grew up in India and I came to the States for college when I was 18, and then I just never left. And then I found my way into the business, because it's what I wanted to do. But I met Robert through the Sundance Lab. I was there with my first movie. It was a script then, and he was there at the lab as one of the mentors. So we got to know each other, and then he saw the movie when it was made, and he was very proud of it, because of course they had a hand in it too. And I'm still very connected to Sundance. I'm on the board, and I do anything I can to help out. Whenever I get the call, I never say no, because they do wonderful things. But yeah, that's how I know him. He's a wonderful person. So I like to stay connected to him. And it was really a pleasure to work with him on this.
What was your project at Sundance?
It was called the Lunchbox movie that she was talking about.
That was the Lunchbox one.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Well, yeah, I'm happy to be here. Happy to meet you guys.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi.
First of all, thank you for making this movie and for taking that beautiful book and making it into a film. I was just wondering why you changed crucial elements of the book, like the mice, for example, and the shed, or that he wanted to be a poet. Yeah, maybe you can talk about that.
Well,
Are you the woman who's read all the books by?
Yes. Obviously.
yeah. You know, I actually got involved in it pretty late. I don't know the history of the whole project in detail. I got a call from Bob sometime I was making a movie in London, and I got a call sometime in June or July. I want to say it was the end of June, and they were meant to start shooting in October. And then I was just very happy to come on board to work with Bob, and of course I loved Ken's books, and incidentally I had discovered them years ago through a friend. And then what happens is when you read one book of an author you love, then you read all. So I read all, and this was the last one I had read. It was the most recent one. And I had gotten curious enough about it that after I read it, I just Googled more about Holt, and there was a wonderful photo feature that an independent journalist had done with him. She had come here and she had gone to his version of Holt, and so it was right around that time, a couple of months after that, I got a call from Bob. But it was hard for me because when I got involved, the script was already there, and I usually do my own writing. I don't direct other people's writing.
So you didn't write the script?
No, I did not. But then I got a chance to rewrite it because I asked Bob while prep if I could have 4 weeks to rewrite it, and he was very happy to give me that time. So I rewrote it, and I feel like when I was rewriting it, I got it closer to the book. But your question about the mice, it's very hard to film mice. And it's hard enough to tell human beings what to do and have them listen to you. So that's probably why we didn't do the mice thing. And I think one of I came to it because I actually read more than I watch movies. So my connection is deeper to literature than it is to cinema, even though I make movies. But it was hard for me also to accept a lot of changes. But I think the only sin I committed against the book was the scene that you see in the bowling alley. So that was the scene that I wrote that came out of my rewrite.
Yeah, but I think it's really nice.
Oh, thank you.
I think the idea about the train is really nice and how it ramps up in that scene.
Yeah, I think that's from the book. I think it's not. Yeah, not the train specifically, but the idea of like spending, and I think the train actually became the mice. It's the idea of spending time with the kid and getting connected to him. And I feel like the only 2 or 3 departures that stick out in my mind from the book is the scene with the kid when he's walking back after the train, when they're walking together and they're just talking about the fireflies, and then the scene with the daughter. But yeah, it's hard. If it's a book that you love. But then again, when you're making the movie, you just have to always keep thinking about. I feel like if you honor the pace and the rhythm of the book in the movie, then that's all you can do.
Yeah, and I think that was done greatly.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think you're very kind. I actually forced you to be kind because I said it and then you agreed. So but I've done enough of these so that. So manipulative.
Very quick. I love the way you embedded the cell phone in the train set, because I remember when I finished the novel, I thought, oh no, her son's just going to take her cell phone away. He's going to have her records and he's going to just stop that. So I love that Lewis sent her the cell phone. I don't think that's in the book. Is that the cell phone that she uses to?
Yeah.
I love that's all taken care of. It's their private account. Am I making sense?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And that's all I wanted to say. Because I worried about the cell phone.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, since a sense of place is so important in all the books, why did you choose to make Holt so prosperous looking? It looked very prosperous.
Well, no, that's a great question because I actually we went to a lot of different places. We went to a lot of different places, and then I think that it's also that when you do work, you bring yourself to it too. So I know what you're saying, and when we started looking at locations, they were not quite as prosperous. But then on the camera, you always want to set a story like this. It's about the two people, and you want to center people's audience's attention to those two people. So like even when I go to India, when I go to Bombay, and I made 2 movies there, I always try to, because it's so distracting. I mean, India is a place, and I'm just using it to answer your question. But it's a director's job is most of it on set, like after the writing is done and after the rehearsals are done, is to really make all the decisions, whether they're about costume or location or about production design, is to try to center an audience's attention on the people, the characters. And I think a lot of my decisions to choose locations that were not as derelict or as faded, or jaded rather is the right word. Because poor is not the right word, it's more like jaded sort of quality. To not choose those kinds of things was to try to center attention on the people. Because I find that like even when I'm in Bombay and I'm filming, and if the story is about poor people, like if you show slums and all that is so distracting. And people catch on, there is a humility about Lewis and Eddie that comes through without the locations being humble. I don't know, that's what I thought when I was making the movie. Maybe it was a mistake, I don't know.
The movie, I think, was so much kinder to Gary than the book. Gene, sorry.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Why?
Why? No, I don't know. I think once you wanted to try to see the humanity in everybody, and that's what the book does too. That's what all the books do. All of Ken's body of work. Even if it, I think I felt when I read the book too, I didn't feel like Jane was a bad person. It was clear enough to me that there was something going on there, and it was an invitation for us to explore it. So I just think I took the invitation. But yeah, I didn't think much of that. But like in talking to the actor and working with him, and also talking to Jane about her son, we never thought of him as somebody who was too hard-edged or evil. And I think we got that from the book, from the spirit of the book. But yeah, no, I just think the book invited us into a world to think and engage with it, and then we tried to do that with the movie.
Well, I really liked the movie better,
Okay.
but I thought maybe you lost some of the depth of Addie's experience
Sure.
and the power of it.
Yeah, I think, that's why movies will never measure up to literature. They will never, we can do whatever we want, but it's not possible. We can only try.
Hello. What was the hardest directorial decision you had to make in this movie?
Honestly, you stumped me.
There was none?
No, I bet there was, but I bet there was, but then I probably don't remember it. I don't know. I don't know the hardest one.
Next to the hardest?
Sorry. No, I don't know. We obviously had some tough days, and then we had some easy days. But I just felt very easy while we were making the movie. I just felt like everybody was on, or for the most part, because everything's not perfect. Life is not perfect. Everything is messy. Human beings are messy. We had disagreements. We had, then we'd come together. I don't think I had a hard directorial decision, but I'll tell you, like one day that sticks out in my head is when we came on set and I was very uneasy about a scene. There's a scene in the tent. It's just them talking inside a tent when they go camping the night with Bob and Jane. And it's just two of them in a tent. And we were doing that, of course we were doing that on a set because it's inside of a tent. And I felt very uneasy about the scene, and it was a lot of dialogue. There was 3 to 5 pages of dialogue, and we had saved half the day to do that. And then I knocked on Bob's trailer and I said that this doesn't feel true to me. The degree to which this is so expressive and the amount of things they're saying to each other and what they're saying to each other. And he said, well, why don't you go rewrite it and we'll wait for you. And that's 300 people waiting. He said. So I took 45 minutes, I rewrote it. Then I went back to him and I said, how about this? And then we spoke, and then we called Jane in, and Jane is very well rehearsed. We were, rehearsing, when she's rehearsed and she's ready to go. So she had already been waiting. And then we spoke about it for 3 more hours. And so that's 3 hours and 45 minutes. And then we went on the set. And at this point the crew's been waiting for 1/3 of the day, of the shooting day, because it's a 12-hour day. And then we rehearsed it inside the tent for 5 hours. And so that's 8 hours and 45 minutes of a 12-hour day. And then we shot it in 2 hours. And it was a pretty special experience for me, because it was so organic and fluid, and look, that doesn't mean that the scene is good. But what I'm saying is the experience was great and it was enriching, and it made me a better writer, and it made me appreciate everybody waiting, and it also made me realize that if everybody's waiting, everybody's waiting. And I feel like also that Bob and Jane and people like that have got into a place where, they want to do the right thing, and that's all that matters. But that's what I take away from it to every movie. But I don't know if that was the hardest day. I quite enjoyed it because I wasn't doing the waiting. So that was,
You had to answer to those who were waiting.
yeah, they would probably tell you that was the hardest day. But for me, it was really special. And that was probably the most special day we had on set.
Thank you. That's really interesting.
Well, it's so nice to be here, and so nice to see you all. And we have to take, yeah, of course.
Thank you, Ritesh. So our dad, Kent, I think, spoke a lot to the condition of loneliness in particular when he would write about the human condition. I know it weighed on him a lot in his own heart. And I'm curious with this movie, how it speaks to that condition of loneliness, and what you've heard from the public or from peers around maybe here could be an answer. All these elderly folks living alone in their homes, they're widows or widowers. And if you've heard of anyone even trying this, like, hey, let's try sleeping together. We've been neighbors for 40 years. I'd just be curious your thoughts on that and what you've heard from others.
About the movie?
About the movie and about this experiment around loneliness and how to resolve it in older years.
Oh, I don't know. You know, I'm pretty lonely too. I really identify with it. But you know what's nice about the books and about getting together and doing this is that it's really about loneliness. It's not about aloneness, because when people are alone, they're just, you know, the heart is hard and it doesn't matter. But what's nice is that to all these characters, it starts to matter. That being lonely means that you don't want to be alone. And that's, I think that's, hopefully that gets through and connects. But what I've heard from people is, what's nice about being on Netflix, because everything has a bad side and a good side, is that, but the good side of Netflix is that the movie keeps traveling and people keep watching it and discovering it, and it's an ongoing process. So every now and again I hear from people, and I remember there was this, because I think it's because I am from India and now I'm working in the West, and people love Bob and Jane in India too. There was this WhatsApp message going around, and I have to dig it out, and I could probably send it to you, but there was this WhatsApp message going around where somebody had written a long, a big, like an essay about the movie, and what they felt and how, like, people don't think about older people in that way, and there was this big, and I was pretty moved by it when it got to me, and it just came to me as, not because I'm the director of the movie, it's because it got forwarded. It was a year after the movie released, so it's just one of those WhatsApp strings that goes around and people keep forwarding it. So I was pretty taken by that, and then every now and again I hear from somebody in France or somebody in Brazil, or somebody sends a message to my agents and they forward it to me. People just discover the movie and then they say something about it. Somebody sent me something really interesting about the score recently. Elliot Goldenthal, the composer, he did a wonderful job. But yeah, you know, it's nice. It's like, and of course there's lots of people who read the book and then go watch the movie, and vice versa. So every now and again I get to hear about that. But it's a really special experience for me because I mostly do my own writing and I direct my own writing. But to be part of like a legacy of a book and an author, and just to be part of that that's very new to me. So that's something that I feel like that keeps feeding back on itself, and that's really nice. I wish we could have had more of these, more books. I wish the world of Holt had continued, and I would be curious to see what the next book is after this. But it's a real pleasure to be among you. It's so nice. It's such nice energy.